Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 30th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout issues and strands to look out for. Please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac sign forecasts. Now this week of course begins with a new moon in Gemini. Now, Gemini energy is all about how we think. It's very nimble and agile, can be very amusing, very much to do with sharing ideas and interacting in a bright and bubbly way. But of course, the moon is very much how we feel about things, and the sign of Gemini is very much more about how we assess things from a more logical viewpoint. So one of the things that we can do over the next month is to meld our drive and our ideas much more closely to how we actually feel. So it's an opportunity for sure. Now, this is also a week when Mars and Jupiter continue to be very closely together. The exact conjunction actually happened as last week came to a close. So that combination can give us a lot of thrust, a lot of traction, a lot of enthusiasm in the sign of Aries. That's very much about getting things off the ground. But both the position of Mars and Jupiter are forging a relatively positive angle to Venus, which of course is now returned to the sign of Taurus, which it governs. So that thrust and the ideas energy that the new moon has given us in Gemini can certainly see us working towards making the most of our resources, which Venus in Taurus can be very good at grappling with. It can also give us an appreciation of good food and good wine and more sensual pleasures as well. But then on Friday, Mercury ends its retrograde, also in the sign of Taurus. So, we've all been challenged by this new financial reality which is kicking in, and it has been retrograde since the 10th of May and in the sign of Taurus since the 23rd of May. But then on Saturday, Mercury comes out of shadow, but also Saturn goes into a retrograde in the sign of the people, the collective, the sign of Aquarius. So it's possible through to the 23rd of October that we're going to be more mindful, I think, over a period of time of how connected we are to one another. I'm going to do a special on the fact that Saturn and Uranus are going to go through a square again within 3 degrees from the 11th of August. So please look out for that. But the other thing to tell you is that Mercury, despite that retrograde, is actually in a very subtle but powerful link to Neptune. So one of the things that we can do this week is listen to our hunches, because they can serve us very well indeed. So Cancer, your week commencing the 30th of May forecast suggests the new moon is asking you to really embrace one of the strongest parts of your nature, which is your intuition, particularly over the next month. But because Jupiter and Mars are giving it large in the most visible part of your situation, there is a bit of a dichotomy between the potential need to reflect and withdraw that's going on with the new moon to the more bold and upbeat and visible energies of Jupiter and Mars in your 10th house of work and worldly interaction. And also because your 11th house, where Mercury goes direct, comes out of shadow, and Venus is working its magic, that's your sector of friendships as well as the longer term future. So there's quite a lot of different interactions. Saturn going into a retrograde, however, as the week draws to a close, that is more about your longer term financial situation, where you're most invested emotionally. And maybe because the 8th house can be about transitions, there are some transitions that could prove to be a little challenging, maybe even painful. You know, if you work for yourself in an entrepreneurial situation, Saturn going retrograde here is asking you to really be aware that you're going to have to show maximum amounts of commitment and determination. But I think that energy of Jupiter and Mars, I just absolutely love it. It brings out that cardinal part of your nature, the leader side of your nature. There is a lot of your ability to cultivate contact successfully with that 11th house Taurus energy, but all of the time do be guided by your 6th sense. It's your greatest gift, and it can really serve you well over the next 4 weeks.